Hello everyone, welcome to Research Skill Series. In this session, we're going to discuss about information sources. Before we start our discussion on information sources, let us start with a little bit introduction about what is research. So, research is a process of systematic inquiry that entails collection of data, documentation of critical information, and analysis and interpretation of that data or information in accordance with suitable methodologies set by specific professional fields and academic disciplines. Research is conducted to evaluate the validity of a hypothesis or an interpretive framework, or it is conducted to assemble a body of substantive knowledge and findings for sharing them in appropriate manners. And last one, to help generate questions for further inquiries. And why do we need to research? We need it as a proof of our solid understanding of a topic that we explored or discussed. It is built on real info, facts, and data. Research is also an attempt to gather and analyze existing literature or previous valid findings on a topic you wish to explore. So you need to put some context and logic in your collected information and use it to answer your questions or to find a solution of a problem. And this is sample of a comparison between two kinds of sources. When choosing sources, it is important to understand the kind of information you will find within. This includes the depth and scope, the writers and their purpose, and the currency of the article or the sources that you use. These are samples that have good contrast to compare. First is scholarly journals, which is the most recommended one. Scholarly journals only publish original research or findings by experts in academic or specific fields. And the contents undergo the process of peer review, means that experts in the same field will review the articles for accuracy, quality, and validity. And the writers sometimes need to rewrite their articles before they can be published in scholarly journals. Please don't expect current issues are printed in these prints, because this kind of publication takes a lot of time to do the process of peer review, recheck, rewrite, and then final draft of the article. So it will take a long time. Okay, and then you can expect long, in-depth articles, data and evidence, such as picture, graphs, or tables, and also specialized technical jargon or terms, also reference lists and in-text citation, author affiliation, and peer review information, or information about the expert who reread and checking the article. Okay, next on the other side is website, which is not so recommended one, because it can be written by anyone at any time and can be discussed almost about anything. If you need to find one, then it is better to use a website that ended with .edu and then .org or .gov. Edu means education, org means organization, and gov means government, or any other country web domain such as .sg for Singapore, .id for Indonesia, or .au for Australia, and many more. And try to avoid using a website with .com or commercial as your source. Identify your sources. In general, we can see three type of sources. One is primary, These sources are original materials on which other research is based. It is first-hand accounts of historical events or raw, uninterpreted data. Next one is secondary. These sources discuss, interpret, or analyze primary sources and other secondary sources. We're going to go through this one a little bit later on. And last one is tertiary. These sources are collections of primary and secondary sources. They can be overviews or summaries of topics as well as index or directories of sources, such as encyclopedias with their entries various from name of a person until name of a virus or terms in medicine up into terms in a sport or any other fields. Okay, those are encyclopedias, and you can also see dictionaries as a tertiary because they have lots of entries, but they are not the sources that get the information live on the question. Okay, they're just a compilation of information. In this case is words or synonyms or antonyms and many more, and also almanacs and print online indexes. Those are sample of tertiary sources. Primary sources. It provides a first-hand account of an event or time period and are considered to be authoritative. It represents original thinking, reports on discoveries or events, or they can share new information. Often the sources are created at the same time the events occurred. They are usually the first formal appearance of original research. The sample is the unique sample is the scholarly journals, although generally considered to be secondary sources, often contain articles on very specific subjects and may be the primary source of information on new developments, such as COVID-19 findings in medical journals. Yeah, you can see them as a primary source. Sample of primary sources are diaries, correspondences, including emails, ship's logs, original documents such as birth certificates, trial transcript, autobiographies, manuscript, interviews, speeches, oral histories, and also case law or jurisprudence. Jurisprudence is the decision of previous judges to deal with a case that is not regulated in the law, and the decision is used as a guide for other judges to resolve a similar case. Okay, so jurisprudence also can be a primary sources. Next is legislation, regulation, and constitution, and then government documents, statistical data, research reports, a journal article reporting new research or findings, such as COVID-19 findings, that I mentioned before, and also creative artworks such as sculpture, paintings, drama, or music works, and also literature works. Newspaper advertisement, as they are the representative or real product of companies' ideas to introduce their product, and also reportage and editorial or opinion pieces. You may create your own primary sources by recording the oral history of something from the most relevant person to share, talk, discuss about it. Such as, if you wanna discuss about local business venture in North Jakarta, maybe you can ask the owner of the one of the restaurant in here, or the employee of the restaurant. You can use this transcript of interview as your primary sources. Okay, if you connect it with your topic before, which is business venture around North Jakarta, or you can use photograph scenes at historic sites. You photographing scenes at historic sites and comparing them to early image of the site, such as you are taking a picture of Monas nowadays, Monument Nasional, and compare it to like 40 years ago. If you are put it side by side and compare them, then it will become primary sources for you. Or you can also tap in traditional local event as they continue in present day. Maybe you can taping or make a video record of traditional Betawi dances. Usually it happen or it is uh, being conducted during the celebration of Jakarta's birthday. Yeah, those are some samples of it. Okay. And secondary sources, they offer an analysis, interpretation, or a restatement of primary sources and are considered to be persuasive. They often involve generalization, synthesis, interpretation, commentary, or evaluation in an attempt to convince the reader of the creator's argument. They often attempt to describe or explain primary sources. Here are a few samples of them. Journal articles that comment or analyze research findings, okay? And then textbooks and books that interpret or analyze, political commentary or newspaper article, biographies, newspaper editorial or opinion pieces, and also criticism of literature works or artworks or music. And when secondary sources become primary sources, often secondary and primary sources are relative concepts. They are often not fixed and depend on the study or research you are undertaking. Typical secondary sources may be primary sources depending on the research topic, such as intellectual history topics. For example, although scholarly journals articles are usually considered secondary sources if one's topic is the history of human rights, then journal articles on human rights will be primary sources in this instance, because usually human rights journal capturing the developing main ideas or developing mainstream point of view regarding specific human rights. Okay. Next is similarly to them is research on the thinking of a scholar will include her or his published journal article as primary sources. If you are discussing about a famous scientist in your country, you can use his or her published article in journal as your primary sources because it is a product of their thinking. So you can see them as your primary sources as a proof or the scientist's thinking development. Okay. Next is historical topics. Magazines articles are secondary sources, but for someone researching the view of judicial punishment in the 1920s, for example, magazines from that time period are primary sources. Indeed, any older publication, such as those prior to the 20th century, is very often automatically considered a primary source. Newspaper may be either primary or secondary. Most articles in newspaper are secondary, but reporters may be considered as witnesses to an event. Let's say the Olympic 2020 in Tokyo. If the reporters writing the article right from the stadium in Tokyo, then the article will become primary sources. Okay. And then any topic on the media coverage of an event or phenomenon would treat newspaper as a primary source. There are so many articles and types of articles in newspaper that newspaper can often be considered either primary or secondary. What sources that can or cannot be used in particular subject? The short answer is sources that are irrelevant, outdated, and invalid. We will discuss it later on source evaluation method later on. But the long answer is it depends on what topic that you discuss or observe. Thus, it is strongly suggested that you choose a topic or a problem to be discussed first. Then you need to specify the topic and use your logic to make a list of any relevant keywords or information. After that, you can think about the possible and correct location of the information you need. Let's say if your topic is about chemistry, you need to specify what kind of chemistry that you discuss. Are you discussing the chemistry of natural components, such as acid and base, liquid and solid? Or Are you discussing the chemistry in terms of relationship between two people or communities? This is the sample, one term, one word with two different definition from American Dictionary. Okay, and to check about the irrelevant and then the validity of your articles, then you need to see the source evaluation method. In here, I share you about CRAP method, which is the abbreviation of currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. Currency, it is to determine if the date of publication of the information is suitable for your project. General, it is common to have 5-year span of sources in general topic. So if you are having your research in 2021, so it's better to find sources not later than 2016. Okay, that is the safe year for your for your border of years. Okay, 2016. Yeah, make sure you have 5-year span in general for your sources. Relevance, determine how applicable the information is to your project. Who is the targeted reader of the sources that you are using? Is it for general public, for expert or scholars, or is it for kindergarten student? Okay, you need to make sure about that one. Authority, determine if the source, author, creator, or publisher of the information is the most knowledgeable. Who is the author, creator, or publisher of the source? Do they have capability or academic background to discuss about it? And what organization is responsible for the source? Are they legitimate enough to discuss about the matter? And next one is accuracy, determine the reliability, truthfulness, and correctness of the content. Does the information provide sufficient evidence? How is the tone? Is it neutral? Is it emotional or objective? You need to find that one. And last one is purpose, determine the reason why the information exists. Why was the source written? Is it to inform, or to entertain, or to persuade the reader? Is the information complete, or only a half, or even only a part of it? Okay, you need to make sure about it. Another source evaluation method is proven, which is abbreviation of purpose, relevance, objectivity, verifiability, expertise, and newness. Purpose, such as the one that I mentioned before. Why does the information exist? Why was the information published? Who is the intended audience? Relevance, is the type of source appropriate for how you plan to use it? How useful is the information in this source compared to other sources? So this was a bit deeper than before. Objectivity, do the authors present the information thoroughly and professionally? Do they use strong, emotional, manipulative, or offensive language? Okay. And verifiability, the accuracy and truthfulness of the information. Do the authors support the information with factual evidence? Okay. Expertise, the authority of the authors and the source, or do they have capability to discuss about the matter? And newness, the edge of the information, or the relevancy, or or the currency in CRAP method. Okay, so those are some points that you can think about before you start doing your sources finding session. Okay, this is the sources, and hopefully it is helpful enough to guide you in finding good sources. So thank you, terima kasih, Gan